You're listening to OnSideRadio.com. Catch up anytime by downloading the MyTuner Radio app. OnSideRadio.com, South Florida's true hometown station.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Let's raise a cup to the first among us who put themselves last. To the risk takers, the mask makers, the heroes on the front line and online. To the ones keeping shelves full and keeping us hopeful. To those who don't stop and those making all the stops. To the ones who pick up, suit up, and never let us down. From all of us at Duncan to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
It's time for Kai's Corner on OnSideRadio.com. To talk to Kai, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. To reach out on the text line, it's 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Here's Kai Chen Chisholm on your home for sports talk, OnSideRadio.com.
Welcome. We are here. Ethan Skolnick, Ira Winderman did Inside the Paint a whole hour today. You can find that in podcast form and also tweeted by the Onside Radio Twitter. We're going to only do an hour today. Big news happening. Nikola Vucevic was just traded from the Orlando Magic to the Chicago Bulls along with Al-Farouq Aminu in exchange for Wendell Cardell, Jr., and I think it said 2 first-round picks. So, yeah. And Otto Porter, according to Shams Charania. I believe that's how you say Shams' last name. Anyways, Al-Farouq Aminu and Nikola Vucevic going to Chicago in exchange for Wendell Carter Jr. and Otto Porter. And I believe, again, Woj said that they're also sending 2 first-round picks in that deal as well. Very interesting. So, it kind of sucks. We just talked about what could happen for a trade for Nikola Vucevic with the Miami Heat. Ends up not happening. Shout out to Herman Cueva, said first in, boo, no Gators, go Canes. Listen, man, it's funny, and this isn't going to be directed at all Canes fans, but I do, and I've got it a little bit today as well. There is that, side of people and some Canes fans that'll be a little too negative to me with things. Obviously, I like the joking around and everything like that. For anyone that's a Canes fan watching, I respect you guys way more than I respect FSU, and that's always been one of my big things. But with everything else that happens, it's just like, I don't know. Some people will come at me in a negative light, and I'll just look at them and I'll be like, hey, when was the last time you were relevant in football? And then that stops the conversation. But I'm sure, especially with you, Herman, you're not going to be like that because you know what? You could still watch even though you're a Canes fan. And you know what? I respect you for that. And I respect anyone watching. You can watch on YouTube at Onside Radio's YouTube channel, as well as on Twitch. You can listen on Podbean Live, radio.net, Simple Mobile, which by far is the one that works the best for me. I love it a lot. especially with any buffering issues. It always works for me. But you can watch on YouTube. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are now at 282, goal of 1,000, and we will get there, and we will get there quick, I believe. And now, along with that, you can also, text in the text line at 844-416-8123. That is 844-416-8123. With only the hour show today, we're going to try to stay on top of everything. The big thing, of course, is NBA today. So it will get to some Dolphin stuff with David Behrman from ESPN, senior betting editor there at ESPN. He'll come on next segment, and we'll talk with him about some betting with March Madness, and we'll talk to him about some other stuff with the Dolphins. He is a Gators fan, a Dolphins fan. So we'll, ask him those questions and talk with him about that. And again, with everything happening right now with the NBA, we will keep all hands on deck, making sure to watch the Twitters of Sham and Woj to see what is happening. So this from Woj for this deal says the Bulls land Nikola Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu for Otto Porter, Wendell Carter Jr., 2 first-round picks. Says it's huge for Chicago, who are remaining in pursuit of Lonzo Ball, and the Magic are moving toward a rebuild with Aaron Gordon deal on deck. So it seems like Aaron Gordon, also the one getting out, at least finally here. And here we are. I mean, it's interesting trade. I think a lot of Heat fans weren't expecting Vucevic, but a lot of Heat fans are expecting something to happen today. Though I've seen some people I've seen some people be a little skeptical. And I've seen a lot of, this isn't going to go our way. In 4 hours, we're just going to have the same old team, aren't we? I don't think that will happen. But at the same time, again, like anything is possible in the NFL, anything's possible in the NBA. When you listen to Ira and Ethan talk about it, and just anyone in general, it kind of seems like a Kyle Lowry deal is the one that's most possible. The only issue potentially with that is that, again, they said, no Tyler Hero involved in that trade, but it could be where he is involved in some other trade where he ends up either going for a pick, or if he goes with another team, or he could possibly be sent out for Victor Oladipo. So it should be interesting to look at for the I almost said the Dolphins, for the Heat, because right now we're just kind of sitting and waiting. We all know that they want to improve, and we all know that they want to continue to go out there and try to get what they want, but they're going to have to really try to work for it. They're going to have to try to make something work in a deal in order to make something like that happen. It seems like that's going to be the one, Kyle Lowry, the one that's most plausible. So it seems like now for Heat fans, we're just kind of waiting and seeing what happens. Duncan is obviously the one that will go most likely, and that's the one, or not most likely, that's the one that has to go in any deal. From there on out, I mean, if Tyler goes, it's one of those things with Tyler Hero where I would be upset to a certain point, right? If Tyler gets traded, but it's for something that makes sense, then I'll be chill. I'll be fine as a fan watching and listening off. But if he's traded and it just doesn't make sense, and it's one of those where we look at it and it's kind of like, and I know Ira mentioned this earlier, where he said, they always have a plan B. They have all these plans in place. They work a bunch of deals, and they get to what they need to get to. I think for me, the big thing is that, when you had all these plans in place, some of them have now not worked out. You have the stuff for Giannis Antetokounmpo. That doesn't work out. You had the stuff where, and Ira mentioned it himself, D-Wade leaves and you're overpaying for a lot of players. Even if that was what you had in mind and that was your intent, you're still overpaying for a bunch of players. So I hope that whatever trade the Heat make isn't a trade where they feel like they have to do it because of this, and this, and they, I want them to make the right trade. I don't want them to make a trade just to make a trade. That's the big thing that I keep in mind is if it's going to involve Tyler, if it's going to, because Tyler's the if. Duncan has to be involved in anyone. If it involves Tyler, it should be the right trade. It can't just be a trade just for the heck of it. It's not one of those situations where you're just trying to add another piece like a Jay Crowder last year, like an Andre Iguodala, where you're like, okay, this can make a lot of sense, and it's for minimum deals, and we can try to get this done. We want one of those, not a trade that ends up putting the Heat back more than they should be. And again, like, it just comes down to hoping that it's the right deal. That's the biggest thing for me, is the right deal, especially for a guy like Tyler. Not saying that Tyler is going to be a world beater, and I think that's something that a lot of us who look at it from the fan point of view and were very adamant on not getting James Harden earlier on in the season still saw Tyler as, like, Tyler Tuesday, the guy. He's going to get it done. He's going to be one of the next people we have. We don't have to worry about this. We don't have to worry about that. We looked at it too in a bubble, literally in a bubble with the NBA bubble, rather than looking at it in a different point of view and looking at it in a different perspective. And I think that has hurt our thoughts on what we think of not only Tyler, but what we think of anything that we can get in a trade package, because the Heat could trade and get a guy like Victor Oladipo, and if he has more production, he does more, and he wants to be here, as it's been reported so many times. If he brings more to the table, then he brings more to the table, and you're always in a win now mode, especially with Pat Riley. It's always win now. It's always win now. So you're trying to be in a win now mode with Riley. You're trying to make the trades to be in a win now mode. Your guy and your main guy in Jimmy Butler right now, because although Bam is the future, he's the no ceiling. He is the guy that you want to also build around. Right now, he is not the guy. It's Jimmy that's the guy. And Jimmy is the one that is going to hopefully take you there. So you need to build around him. You need to build around his age currently, and make sure you can make sure that everything is working in your favor, not only just for you, but for your star in Jimmy Butler. So it's getting interesting. Woj continuing to say that Chicago's leadership wanted to bring productive, serious-minded veteran players to be a cornerstone for the Bulls. They get one with all-star center Nikola Vucevic, who's been a pillar with Orlando. If they're still pursuing Lonzo, as they said, that's crazy. And it says Keith Smith, who also tweeted this from Yahoo Sports. Things are starting to come out a little bit now. And, of course, I remember I was listening to Ethan while I was driving, Sean, and I thought it was hilarious because he basically said, he's like, we'll be here, and then by 11:01, stuff is going to start happening when we're off air.
It's the way it rolls. It's the way it always happens.
It's perfect. It's so funny because that's exactly what happened. Now things starting to come out. It says, the Chicago Bulls are looking at Lauri Markkanen in trade. Chicago doesn't see him and Nikola Vucevic as long-term fits next to each other in the front court. So it looks like Lauri Markkanen will be dealt by the 3 p.m. deadline. And, yeah, I'm trying to keep up with everything that's happening and try to get there. Sean, what's your out of those, I guess, like Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, where do you stand? Which one of those do you want, the most in the two of them? Do you want Lowry or do you want Oladipo?
I say make Jimmy happy. Let's get Lowry.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's kind of one of the good ways to go, one of the good things to do. Again, if you're watching let's get this really quick. From YouTube, again, if you're watching on YouTube, hello, hi, how you doing? Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like the video. You can also text the text line at 844-416-8123. And you can also leave comments like Herman Cueva does every single morning. Shout out to you, Herman. Says, in your opinion, do you think the Heat need a power forward more than a point guard? Yes, absolutely, 1,000%. Yes, they most definitely need to get a 4 right now more than that. However, if you get a guy like Kyle Lowry, it's great. It helps your team a lot. However, I do think getting a 4 should be a primary topic of conversation. We'll see if they get that done, although, of course, LaMarcus Aldridge seems to be the guy if he gets bought out. So that seems to be the expectation there. Saturdays at 8 a.m., baseball fans can go deep into the count with Alex Aguirre and Christian Chase. Catch a show that talks Marlins and all the big stories in the major leagues. Every Saturday at 8 a.m., Seam Heads have a new home. Listen to Deep Into the Count exclusively at OnsideRadio.com.
Onside Radio, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan.
Let's raise a cup to the first among us who put themselves last. To the risk takers, the mask makers, the heroes on the front line, and online, to the ones keeping shelves full and keeping us hopeful, to those who don't stop and those making all the stops, to the ones who pick up, suit up, and never let us down. From all of us at Dunkin' to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
I'm 54, so basically, it's too late to start saving for retirement, right?
Not right. Starting to save, even in your 50s, can really make a difference.
Well, right now, saving seems hard to wrap my head around. Plus, with the way this year's been going...
Hey, listen, it's okay. You still got this. Just go to aceyourretirement.org. It's an online tool from AARP that can help you get your retirement savings on track no matter your age. It's free and only takes about 3 minutes.
I like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at aceyourretirement.org, you'll chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized plan and tips to help boost your retirement savings. Tips that are easy to understand and tailored to your lifestyle.
I like that too.
Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back. Just head to aceyourretirement.org and make your plan to start saving for retirement.
Thanks.
That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
If you missed 4th and 20 with Toast and Marsh, you missed.
You know,
it's so rough being a Yankee fan. It's so rough. It's so hard, I know. Oh,
it really is. I mean, they haven't been. I was there in 2009. I was in New York the last time that they went to the World Series. It's been a long time now for them. And no, they're the Phillies of the AL. They brought the band back, and what did they actually do? Kluber any better than Tanaka? Like, is their pitching any better, or are they just again relying on the health of Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge?
Oh gosh.
4th and 20 with Toast and Marsh, weekday mornings from 8 to 10.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love, including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com.
Hey, it's Big O. You know, air quality in your home or business is so important now, folks. That's why you've got to call M&S Air Conditioning. Let them install a high-efficiency polarized air filter in your AC unit that attracts, captures, and destroys biological contaminants to improve your air quality. M&S is always on call from 7:30 a.m. till 9 o'clock p.m. and, of course, emergency Sundays. Call for more info on high-efficiency air filters and their preventative maintenance plans. Visit M&S Air Conditioning at ac-florida.com.
Welcome back to Kai's Corner. To reach out to Kai, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Back to Kai's Corner.
And we're back. Segment 2. We're going to have on David Behrman from ESPN, the deputy editor of sports betting at ESPN. He's a former South Florida native, Gators fan, Dolphins fan. David, thank you so much for coming on, man. How you doing?
Good. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. It's been a while since we talked. I remember last time we talked, we were kind of going through stuff on when Tua might be the starter for the Dolphins, and now here we are, and some people are ready to throw him out and get over it already.
Yeah, you've probably heard me on some other pods and stations before. Defending Tua in 9 games is absolutely by no way something you can judge him on. 9 games after off-season hip surgery, no training camp, no preseason, didn't start the season as a starter. And to me, the most important part of this is why I can't personally judge and or see how he's done is he had no weapons to work with last year. Devontae Parker was hurt left and right. You said Jakeem Grant was hurt. Preston was hurt, Williams, and they had really, if Myles Gaskin played well, but he was gone for part of the season with COVID. So if you looked at their offensive weapons as a whole, which you hope that they're going to fix in the offseason and draft, Tua out there as a rookie with no training camp, no preseason, and throwing to pretty much nobody out there. There was one game where he had guys that neither you or me had even heard of catching passes before. Yeah. So I think if you get him some weapons, get him another offseason, training camp, et cetera, that you'll see a much improved Tua this year, and hopefully that'll put the haters behind. I just don't get it. 9 games, everybody wants them to go draft a new quarterback. It doesn't make any sense to me.
One of the things, and I want to get into some March Madness betting stuff with you and kind of how it's been affected with the brackets this year, obviously every year or something. But one of the things with the Dolphins, as you mentioned, has been getting talent around Tua. And the biggest thing for that was getting into the offseason, trying to get maybe one of the big-name wide receivers. The top 3 they did not get. However, they were able to get Will Fuller on the 1-year deal, $10 million, able to have him there. He's going to wear Jarvis's 14. I guess you could also say Ryan Fitzpatrick's 14, but in terms of the wide receiver, Jarvis's 14, last worn by him as a receiver. How do you see Will Fuller fitting with this offense and fitting with Tua?
I was just like the other Dolphin fans out there wanting him to go out there and at least get a big-name wide receiver. And yeah, they didn't get a Kenny Golladay or Curtis Godwin, but I think Will Fuller's actually a perfect piece of the Dolphins as a 1-year deal, a kind of prove-it-or-lose-it type scenario where if he does well, he'll get paid in the offseason by someone, maybe the Dolphins. If he doesn't do well, it's a 1-year deal. Doesn't really hurt you because if you look at the Dolphins, and we talked about it a minute ago with the lack of weapons, even the weapons they had, and you could argue that the best weapons on the field for Tua were Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki, but if you look at their stats, they had the worst amount of separation for qualified receivers in the NFL according to the next-gen stats. Devontae Parker was tied for the worst number in the league with an average of 1.7 yards of separation between him and the defensive backs, and Mike Gesicki was the worst tight end in terms of separation. Wasn't as low as Devontae was, but in terms of his position, Isaiah Ford, middle of the pack, Jakeem Grant, middle of the pack. These guys just weren't getting open, and I think that's part of the game that people don't see. They always want to crush the quarterback because of the fact that they didn't score a lot or the completions weren't high or he didn't throw downfield. And everybody blames Tua for checking off left and right when if you look at the numbers, and this isn't when being thrown to, this is on every single snap, next-gen stats will measure separation, and Parker, Gesicki, Ford, Grant, all were near the bottom of the NFL receiving and tight end course when it comes to getting separation. So how do you blame a rookie quarterback for not wanting to throw downfield when his guys aren't open? And that's like, you just see the stats, the end of the game, Tua checked down, didn't have anything downfield. There's nothing downfield open because if he forces it and he throws interceptions like Fitzpatrick did at times, then you're ripping Tua for throwing interceptions. So The one thing that they weren't ripping Tua for at the beginning was the fact that he had no interceptions for the first 4 or 5 games. He was playing it safe. You want to see him take more risks as his NFL career grows, but he needs weapons. And Will Fuller, on the flip side, is one of the receivers who gets the most separation in the entire NFL. He was up there, burning players left and right. So now you added a speedy wide receiver that can stretch the field, hopefully get open for Tua, and get other guys like Devontae Parker open because people are concentrating on Will Fuller. So if you had asked me before the offseason what type of player the Dolphins would need to get, Will Fuller is that type of player. And, of course, you hope that with the 3 pick or the 18 pick, the Dolphins go get one of the elite receivers from the NCAA levels that can fill in right off the bat. Now you're talking about a top receiver, could be the Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith,
right?
Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, and then you look at the running backs. I mean, they're not all pro names that you'd be like, oh wow, the Dolphins just got the best running back in football. But Malcolm Brown hasn't had the chance to prove it. Gesicki was great last year, and maybe they have the availability to go get Harris from Alabama or somebody else like Etienne in the draft. You got to surround Tua with weapons and practice before you can actually make a decision as to whether he's your future or not.
With the basketball world now, with March Madness, a lot of the things that I was looking at, because although I didn't make a bracket, I feel like maybe it's just because I was looking at Twitter more often and kind of trying to follow it a little bit more this year. But it seemed like there was a lot of people placing some big bets on some of these teams that ended up falling. How did it, was there any different, effect on betting from this year compared to other years of March Madness with some of these elite teams falling down to some teams like Oral Roberts?
There was, because the public got hit pretty hard. The books did as well as they've done in any March Madness first weekend in the last 10 years. When the big public teams fall, whether you're Ohio State or not to pick on the Big Ten, but, Ohio State, Purdue, you had other big teams falling. The public teams that the betting public likes to jump on, that just means the books did well. So if you see a lot of upsets, just like betting the NFL, when the favorites like the Patriots or the Cowboys or the Chiefs lose, that's good for the books because they get inundated with bets, especially money line bets on, well, Ohio State's not going to lose to a 15 seed, so we'll take them money line in a parlay somewhere, and then the house wins when people are betting big money on teams that lose. So there was an impact there, but I will tell you that the books that I spoke with, and if you read David Purdum's article on Chalk, people came back in droves. We were kind of worried that with the pandemic, nobody would be traveling to Vegas, nobody would be betting on the tournament like they have in the past. The handle was exceptionally well. Obviously, the sports books couldn't be 100% capacity because nothing's 100% capacity. But the tickets that they had open to sit at the sports books and watch March Madness, lines out the door, people were there, not just in Vegas, but in New Jersey and other places. The books did extremely well. The action was strong. And now with the access to mobile betting across the country in some states has also increased the handle a little bit. So I would report that the state of betting was good during March Madness, but more for the books than it was for the public.
Did you make a bracket, David?
I did make a bracket. I would tell you that I did less than I've ever done before. I'm more focused on the betting aspect of it, but it's hard to not fill out a bracket when you're talking about all these games, all these matchups. But I will tell you that it's the very last thing I look at every single day when I'm looking at games I bet on, other pools that I'm in, other things I'm involved in, because although the bracket is fun and it's great, it's usually over by the end of day one.
Right.
And, you got to have to win that pool. You have to have one of those upsets that works for you. 2 years ago, the last time the tournament was played, I had Texas Tech going all the way to the finals. That got me money in the bracket pool, but it also got me a lot more money betting on them. I tried that again with Florida State and LSU this year. I had LSU beating Michigan. Didn't happen, but I did have FSU beating LSU. So if FSU goes on and beats Michigan, I'll be in good shape at the bracket. I have Arkansas coming out of one region, and, of course, Gonzaga and Baylor as top seeds. So you always got a chance. But it's one of those things where you're one bracket out of a couple of hundred, as opposed to I can go bet on any game I want and win money myself.
Right. I guess another thing related to that, and especially with March Madness, and it goes to like the Gator buy sort of things. I, while watching, was very happy in a way that they ended up losing because I think a lot of Gators fans, especially with college basketball, want to get rid of Mike White. Where do you fall on that? Obviously you're losing to a team like Oral Roberts, and it's something that you shouldn't have lost. The same thing with Ohio State. But how do you feel specifically with that and just the state of Gators basketball in general? Do we still have David? Sean? I'm not sure if...
Oh, I'm still
David?
there. Sorry. I'm never... Sorry, I hit the mute button to cough and forgot to unmute it.
You're good.
I'm never one to root against my alma mater or teams I root for just to get rid of the coach. That's not something I do.
Well, not rooting, but kind of like, it's like, it's okay. Like, I'm upset,
we lost to a 15 seed, blowing a double-digit lead. I was more than upset. And
right.
There are question marks there. We're very spoiled coming from 20 years of Billy Donovan. I like the hire when they made it. I can't really, I'm not a basketball scout to tell you whether that loss or any of the other losses were Mike White's fault. I'm not in the business. I'm not qualified to make that decision. I can tell you that as a fan and an alum with probably financial interest involved, I did text my brother midway through the second half and said, they're playing great right now, double-digit lead. As long as you don't do anything stupid, we'll be in the Sweet 16. And then, again, I don't know if I want to blame the coach or anybody else, but they got out of their game plan. They stopped running. They stopped pushing it. They broke it down into a half-court game. They were terrible in the half-court game. They made many mistakes, missed free throws, turnovers, etc. I'm not qualified to decide whose fault it is. All I know is that last 10 minutes of that game was not a good last 10 minutes. I'm not ready to fire the coach. I think he's done a great job recruiting. He's done a great job with the transfer portal. I don't know how much of it was X and O's, but I would just warn that the base and the alumni that just 3 years ago, we were all at Madison Square Garden cheering on a team that made a run to the Elite Eight and almost beat South Carolina to go to the Final Four. Like, people tend to forget that was just a couple of years ago. It wasn't 20 years ago. Mike White did lead a team to within a Final Four berth. Now, last year, who knows what happened with COVID, how good or bad they would have been. I thought the team overachieved this year. And you're not going to hear that too much from alumni who want to get rid of Mike White, but
Right.
I didn't think the team was good enough to get to where they got, having a lead in the second half of a second-round game to be in the Sweet 16. I thought they were overseeded. I thought that they shouldn't have won the Virginia Tech game. So me personally, my expectations were not high for this Gator basketball team, but they did have some really nice wins during the season. They put themselves in SEC contention, but they also had some really bad losses. Losses to Tennessee were ugly, and the loss in the tournament to Oral Roberts was ugly. So you have to really assess the entire picture when you're Scott Strickland making that decision, and he'll make whatever the most appropriate decision is. But to me, it's hard to fire a coach who consistently makes the tournament and consistently gets to the second game and or further. If they start not making the tournament and not achieving what they need to achieve, then you get rid of them. But if you had said to me, David, the Florida Gators, this team, what you see during the COVID year, is going to be within 10 minutes of making the Sweet 16, I would have taken that. Now, At the end of the day, I was pissed off that they lost the game in the fashion that they lost it, but they did accomplish a lot this season, so you got to give Mike White and his team at least credit for that before you rip them for losing the game.
David, thank you so much for coming on, man. You can follow him on Twitter at DBearmanESPN and follow all of his stuff that he does. Again, senior betting for ESPN. David, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Absolutely. Enjoy the tournament and enjoy watching the Dolphins offseason and the draft coming up. Enjoy it.
Of course. You too, man. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the videos as well. You can find everything. Make sure you put on post notifications as well, so you can get a notification every time that we go live, every time that a live stream gets posted, everything like that. And of course, you can also leave in comments and get your opinions out there, as well as on the text line at 844-416-8123. You're listening to the only locally owned sports station in South Florida. You're listening to OnsideRadio.com.
Now streaming online. Onside Radio, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The Radio.net app is real handy. OnsideRadio.com. Don't be caught without it.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Riddle me this. With all this sizzling meat and crunchy veggies nestled between toasty flatbread, who should get credit for Papa John's new papadilla? The person who invented pizza or the person who invented folding? Well, whoever it is, a tip of the tongue hat to you, sir or madam. Get a new papadilla, 4 flavors, just $6 each. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Keeping you informed in the world of sports. with an OnsideRadio.com sports update.
Still no trade news to report for the Miami Heat. The NBA trade deadline is approaching today, 3 p.m. Eastern. The Heat are back on the court tonight. They take on the Trailblazer. They tried in the 4-game losing streak. Tip-off set for 7:30 at the AAA. The Florida Panthers, they're in Chicago tonight taking on the Blackhawks. The puck drops at 8 p.m. Florida's lost 2 straight. And in the news of the day, Tito Banash has Duncan. This is South Florida's new choice for local sports talk. This is OnSideRadio.com.
Let's get back to Kai's Corner. You can send Kai a text at 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Here's Kai Chen Chisholm.
Welcome to Dunkin' Donuts' favorite radio station, according to good old Sean Stanley.
According to 60% of your people on Twitter as well. I believe they dominated the conversation the other day.
They absolutely dominated the conversation. Like, it wasn't even close.
I think somebody predicted that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess you did.
Wish I did that good on my tourney bracket.
It was near 60%, 59.8 of the 40.2 to Starbucks for life. America runs on Dunkin'. And now me and Tito both have Dunkin' today as well. And we were some that think, and a quote from Tito Banash, poor taste buds by most people apparently. And here we are, Dunkin' Donuts, drinking it as we stand. No, say it in the mic, Sean. Don't just say it on the side.
How do taste buds, Tito?
Uh-oh. Tito's grabbing the mic now. Now Tito has to say something today as well about
Starbucks is amazing. All right? Let's not slander Starbucks. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right?
It is if you have a great 401k.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You know?
It's
maybe
good in
get
general.
the app and get some stars, bro.
Yeah.
Right? You can get some
I'm
good
getting 100
discounts.
bonus stars today.
Yeah. They have Starbucks happy hours. What do you know about that? Does Dunkin' Donuts have happy hours for coffee?
I get a free coffee every Monday.
Why is that?
Because I'm part of the Dunkin' Club.
Oh.
Well,
I get
I
get
can
a free
afford
coffee
every other
weeks.
day. Yeah, every
Yeah,
2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks I get a free coffee.
Yeah.
My mom gets me a coffee. That's how it's my 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks I get a free coffee from my mom.
There you go.
A lot more Dunkin' in your future.
It's not bad. It's we're not gonna just stick on Duncan like yesterday. However, I will say, one of my friends, Lewis, found that conversation extremely funny because he is on both sides of the coin, except every single time he goes to Duncan, he decides to try something new, and doesn't like just get something that he might think he likes, and every single time he hates it, throws it away, and drives to Starbucks and gets a vanilla iced chai tea latte with light ice. It's like a weekly, not even a weekly, it's like a daily thing that this dude goes through. But hey, it is what it is. So, our round table for today is the question on if the Heat make a trade or not, what is considered a successful season this year? Well, if they make a trade or not, success right now would be what you're currently standing at, and that's making it into the playoffs. And I think that that's pretty easy to say for not only just myself, but any Heat fan in general or any Heat analyst or whatever it is. You, at this point in time, if you're not making the playoffs where you currently stand, and at least not getting, you can't get first round exited right now. Obviously, depending on opponent, but you can't get first round exited. The expectations are playoffs. Now, if they make a trade, it becomes different. But as the question is constructed, whether they make a trade or not, the expectations should be playoffs. Those are just the lowest expectations you should have. That is the floor for the Miami Heat. Now, if it goes other ways and we want to branch out and say, the Heat go after a Kyle Lowry, although, as Tito pointed out, In the break, someone had tweeted out that it was like at the 1 yard line, but then at the same time, it's like, oh, but Miami's still in it. If they get him, in Kyle Lowry, they get him. If they don't, they don't. Then the other situation that you have there is if you go out there and you get like a Victor Oladipo, or who knows if John Collins gets dealt, a Lauri Markkanen, then those are the other guys that you probably think of. Those are the other guys that you go after and try to, get, because those are the ones that are going to help your team the most. And it's all about improving. I mean, it's something that Ira and Ethan said today, where we could have a completely different team come 3 p.m., or we could be in a situation where the team doesn't change at all. It's about the best deal. It's about improving. And I think right now, the absolute floor for the Miami Heat needs to be playoffs. That's just kind of, you can't go any lower than that. And I'm saying playoffs like 5th seed or higher. You cannot end up being like a 7th or 8th seed in the playoffs the way you're currently constructed, even with how things are happening, because you've shown, even the way that you're currently constructed, that you can win these games. It would be an embarrassment if they make the playoffs as like an 8th or a 7th seed. So that's my thoughts on everything. There's just so much coming out here. Like, and I only saw this because of Tito's tweet just now that popped up, with Terrence Ross kind of like he's the only one left on the Magic, and he's been talking a lot about, how he's the 6th man, he's that guy for the Magic, and now it just kind of sucks because it's like, well, he's kind of it's like that from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where Will Smith is just left alone in the house with nothing and is just looking around. That's exactly how Terrence Ross is right now. What, Sean?
No, 5 Reasons Sports Network is reporting that it's going to be a game of chicken until 3 p.m. It looks like Toronto's trying to get one more asset from either Philadelphia or Miami. It looks like it's going to be a game of chicken until 3 p.m.
Ethan Skolnick, 5
Can
Reasons.
Riley hold out?
Tito, I think Tito wants to say.
A lot of, introspective thought, what's the difference between the two deals for Philly and Toronto that Toronto is willing to
maybe they're trying to push for Tyler?
They're trying to force somebody to throw in something that they don't want to. Yeah. It doesn't.
No, that's
seem,
exactly what it is.
But it doesn't seem like the Heat are going to give up on Hero, right?
No.
That. It just doesn't seem that way. And
yeah, but you want to fleece somebody in your own division, right? If you're going to get something from Miami or Philly, they're in your conference.
Toronto's done for.
They are, but if you can fleece other teams now for the future,
yeah.
Fleece away, my friend. Fleece away.
I think it just comes down to the fact that even like fleece or not, the Heat. If the sticking point for them with the James Harden trade was Tyler Hero, they're not going to trade him for Kyle Lowry.
Right, I get that.
Like there's no chance. You're not.
But I'm of the belief that that Harden deal was never really on the table.
Probably not.
I don't think it. I think there was a point, and then Houston kind of said, you know what? No, we're not going to do this for guys that might not turn out. I'd rather get a lot of draft compensation so that either it turns into something draft-wise, or we can flip that draft compensation for the next available superstar.
It's so weird how the NBA draft is viewed, though, because you look at it, it's like there was a trade, I think, earlier, like the trade at midnight, I believe, was like a 2027 first-round pick or something, or conditional pick.
I forgot who has it. Oklahoma City has 32 picks over the next 7 years.
But aren't, they're always just dealt and thrown away.
Just have the draft at Oklahoma City Arena. Why?
I don't understand it, though, because they're just throwing. I mean, I guess it's not as valuable as stuff that you have with the NBA or the NFL draft. But it's so weird because you just see these guys, and it's most of the time there's maybe one if that coming out of these drafts.
I think the direct impact in terms of NFL guys on their teams versus NBA guys on their teams is a lot more drastic.
Yeah.
From sport to sport,
But then you see one if that turn out. I mean, there was a point where they were like, "Oh, well, Michael Carter Williams, this is the guy," and then they're arguing over guys that,
But in the NBA, rookie seasons are less.
Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
They could be more of an anomaly. Rookie NBA seasons can be more of an anomaly than an actual forecast of what the player is. Tyreek Evans, Kendrick Nunn, Michael Carter Williams, all those guys were guys who flashed the rookie year, and then once the league adjusted to them. Bad news?
What happened? Uh-oh. Sean Stanley.
Dick Stockton is reportedly retiring.
This is.
I cannot stand you. I cannot stand you. My heart just caved in. I was like, man, I have Woj and Shams on notifications.
I was like, I'm trying to look, and there's no tweets.
The Dolphins' preseason games will never be the same.
Who cares about the Dolphins' preseason games?
The Raptors are telling teams that the Lakers and Sixers are in the lead for Kyle Lowry, with Philly in first place. Kyle Lowry is preparing to be traded to the Sixers, according to Brian Windhorst.
Oh, well. I don't know. I don't feel the same as some of like the Heat fans do, where I absolutely have to have Kyle Lowry.
So I think as time has worn on, I'm becoming more accepting of the fact that we're probably not going to get him. But I'm going to say this about the Heat where they currently stand with those young assets. I think there's a legitimate case to be made where we could see all the young guys leave and we don't get anything in return for them.
Except for Tyler.
Well, I mean, you're hoping that Tyler improves,
right?
Because if he kind of, fizzles out to the end this season, and then next season doesn't like show marginal improvement again, you're not getting much for him in the open market.
Yeah.
So
you have to get rid of Duncan now, and
I've been saying that for 2 months now.
No, but like today you have to get rid of him, and a lot of stuff will come out. I mean,
right. I mean, right. But you're selling Duncan, letting teams know, hey, he has a price tag on him.
Yeah.
Which is that he's gonna be commanding $70 million in the open market next year. $67 million. So,
potentially.
And I don't think Duncan's gonna do the Heat any favors. So.
Hey, well, you and Donna will get a good look at everything that happens because you'll have it for just like the next 6 hours after that. We're gonna round off the show in just a little bit after. The break. We'll have on Big O for the crosstalk for the Onside Zone. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and make sure you watch, comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. We will catch you guys after the break. You're listening to Kai's Corner on OnsideRadio.com.
Onside Radio, the only choice for the South Florida sports fan.
Let's raise a cup to the first among us who put themselves last. To the risk takers, the mask makers, the heroes on the front line and online, to the ones keeping shelves full and keeping us hopeful, to those who don't stop and those making all the stops, to the ones who pick up, suit up, and never let us down. From all of us at Duncan to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Every Thursday, NBA fans can catch one of the best basketball shows in the country when Ethan Skolnick and Ira Winderman host Inside the Paint. Listen to two of the most knowledgeable and connected reporters in the business. Get year-round insight every Thursday at 10:30 a.m. with Inside the Paint on your home for hardcore basketball fans. OnsideRadio.com.
These are unprecedented times, challenging how the YMCA works to strengthen community as we have for nearly 170 years. but we've always found ways to help people and communities in times of crisis. Right now, Wise across the country are providing emergency childcare, shelter, food programs, and outreach to seniors, but we can't do it alone. Whether you're connected to the Y or have a fond Y memory, we need you to stay with us. Reach out to your local Y today and stay with us for a better us.
The fighting spirit of the Marine Corps is born of battles won. Battles won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's a promise made to you for more than 2 centuries. A promise of the Marines.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Big O. You know, air quality in your home or business is so important now, folks. That's why you've got to call M&S Air Conditioning. Let them install high-efficiency polarized air filter in your AC unit that attracts, captures, and destroys biological contaminants to improve your air quality. M&S is always on call from 7:30 a.m. till 9 o'clock p.m. and, of course, emergency Sundays. Call for more info on high-efficiency air filters and their preventative maintenance plans. Visit M&S Air Conditioning at ac-florida.com.
Welcome back to Kai's Corner. To reach out to Kai, send a text to 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Here's Kai Chen Chisholm.
Rounding off hour 2 here. Have Big O in the studio now as we get ready for our cross talk. We're talking a little bit of soccer as well in that. Talking about like some U.S. Prospects, some guys that kind of we look at and we kind of see. And it is one of those big issues. I think like I mentioned and I thought to myself for a second, like it is kind of one of those issues with the U.S. men's national team where I think I look at some of the talent a lot of the talent that they have. I know Austin does a lot as well. And it really isn't that good at striker now that I really kind of sit there and think about it.
Let me listen. Where we're at now at U.S. Soccer compared to where we were.
Oh, yeah. No. It's much.
Trust me. Listen, I'm 54, dude. I was coming to this stadium, to go watch Ray Hudson when I was, 12 years old. You know what I mean? And so I've watched U.S. soccer grow, and I've been fighting to push soccer in this country, and especially locally in this town. We're finally getting there, man. We're finally getting. We got an owner that builds this beautiful stadium. There's a bigger one coming down in Miami. We've made, strides, man. To watch American players play in Europe and excel, it kind of gets me sexually aroused.
I
got to tell you. No, I'm serious, man. Serious. It's come along because I had to deal with the idiots that were, oh no, soccer's not going to make it. And I'm like, you're fighting them and you're telling them it's going to happen eventually when our best athletes start playing the sport. Yeah. And that's what's happening. Some of our best athletes are finally playing the damn sport because now they're realizing, wow, there's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our Americans are naive. They don't know enough about the damn sport and they don't realize the kind of money that's involved. Now, these kids are realizing, well, wait a minute, why am I going to get concussions in football? Let me go play soccer, man.
It's also just, I think, the other thing, like something that I learned even when talking to people that don't enjoy soccer, like some of my friends, I feel like it's called the beautiful game for a reason. And when you watch it, if you really sit there and watch how it's happening, like watch why certain attacks are a certain way, and just kind of really follow the game and look at it in a different light. I feel like you can – it's the same people where they look at football and they're like, oh, but I want to look at certain things in depth and watch film. It's like that's the same thing as when you're watching soccer. You can watch things and you can learn some of the things that this certain player does is just make – I love it.
But they don't give it an opportunity, you know what I mean?
It's boring.
And then they tell me, oh, it's not physical. And I feel like punching them in the face. It's like, why don't you go play in the pitch and you go see how physical it is? They're wearing no pads, dude. You have no idea what it's like to go up in the air around the box. How they're elbowing each other and smashing each other to go up in the air and heads clashing.
Head collision.
Yeah, man, please.
All just going for
soccer isn't physical. Like, that's the only requirement. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Baseball is not physical. You watch that. I mean, give me a break. And baseball will put you to sleep.
Yeah. Well, quickly, what's coming up on the show?
We are loaded today. What do we got going on today, Tito? We got Kurt Heelan, Pro Basketball Talk at 12:30. Thor Nystrom. We're going to talk a little NFL draft with Thor. He does an excellent job with college football and the NFL. So Thor will talk. And then obviously we'll keep track of what's going on with the NBA trading deadline. It ends with our show at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, you're going to be having breaking news coming left and right.
Yeah, we'll have some breaking news. Now, I don't know if we'll have it for the Miami Heat. That's the question.
Make sure you guys stay tuned in for O's show because, of course, you will have it all the way up until 3 o'clock. I'll be back tomorrow morning. We're going to have a special interview with Ronan Murphy, who covers the Bundesliga for Goal. That'll be pre-recorded today. It'll come on tomorrow morning. So make sure you tune in for that. I will see you guys tomorrow. This has been Kai's Corner. Hope you have a great rest of your day.